Hello everybody, and thanks for joining today's session at PAKCon 2020. In this talk, we will discover on how you all can reach your business goals with SEA automation. This talk will be given by Michaela Tada, who works as a product expert for Google search automations and audience solutions. Michaela consults advertisers and agencies in Central Europe on how to leverage automation in a holistic way across all elements of their marketing strategy. And Michaela is joined by Julie-Wolfthorn-Str, who is a data activation specialist, consulting some of Central Europe's largest advertisers on how they can integrate first-party data into their marketing activities. And now, please enjoy the talk.
Thank you. Hi, and welcome everyone to today's session. Thanks for the introduction. I couldn't have described it better. Before we jump into our little agenda today, we would like to show you a very brief video, a case study of a startup that is supposed to kind of illustrate and visualize a bit more about what type of problems and business cases we can actually solve using automation that also goes a little bit beyond everything that is search engine advertising. I'll share the video.
Thanks to data-driven marketing, with only really a few clicks, we could easily hit new consumers in new markets. Frontier Car Group, we are a Berlin-based consumer-to-business marketplace for used cars. We set off to solve the problem of selling a car for a consumer in emerging markets with 3 or 4 sub-brands.
FCG challenges were to scale very fast and keep the high ROI.
One of the biggest challenges that startups are facing when they decide to go globally, number one, is to identify and evaluate potential markets. And for that, we have a free tool that's called Market Finder.
By using Google Market Finder, we did an analysis of over 30 markets and ended up by starting Mexico, Nigeria, and Pakistan.
And number two is really to understand how to adjust your marketing strategy using millions of signals and to optimize it around new
Thanks, and sorry for the sound issue there. I hope it was intelligible still. So I hope this video could give you a good idea of what kind of problems we can actually solve with machine learning and automation. And today we want to concentrate on 4 key elements really of online marketing and how you can use automation in each of them. The first bit is going to be around bidding. And as most of you will know that any ad that is being served online, or most of ads, are preceded by an auction where several advertisers are competing around the impression. And obviously the one who knows best or who can predict best which user is going to be profitable is going to have the most profitable campaigns as well. And this is largely achieved via automation. Then we'll have a brief look at audiences and specifically how you can integrate your insights about your target audience into our marketing platforms, because you obviously know best who your target audience is. Then we'll have a brief look at attribution and how you can use automation here. Attribution deals with the question of how much value you really want to assign to each and every touch point that you then have with your audience online. And finally, we'll also look at creatives and how you can really adapt your creative in every auction to every user and to every query. And as you can see, all of these things really work together. So it's crucial that we automate all of these elements and create a kind of feedback loop to always improve and really keep learning on your campaigns. All right, so let's jump right into the bidding bit. And I want to take you back first a couple of years before we look at the state of the art. 20 years ago, actually, to be precise, when Google Ads was launched, AdWords at the time. And we started out with really just the option as an advertiser to bid on keywords that are relevant to your business. So basically, you would set a CPC bid, a price that you were willing to pay for a click, and then the campaigns would run based on that. Fast forward a couple of years and things got a lot more complex. And that is mainly due to the arrival of smartphones, because smartphones not only led to the fact that we spend much more time online and already with this sending a lot more signals that we need to deal with as marketers, but also the user journey got much more fragmented. And we have all of a sudden different device types and different locations from which users would be searching and connecting with you as a brand. And obviously, these types of new segments and signals will have an impact on user behavior and campaign performance. And as marketers, we want to adjust to this. And that's why we at the time offered you for example, bid adjustments, where you can set device modifiers or bid modifiers based on the location and so on. And you can still do this today quite manually. But yeah, as most of us, as we all know, things got even more complex since then. And nowadays, we're really inundated by all types of signals. And to be precise, we have up to 70 million signals that we can analyze in one auction or preceding to one auction. And all of these will have some type of impact on your conversion rate. But this is obviously not feasible to do for us as human beings. And even if we had all of this information in real time. And that is why our smart bidding strategies, which we call our automated bid strategies, are doing this for us. They're really analyzing all of these types of signals and then setting a bid that is adapted to your campaign, to your audience, and to your objective. All right, so if you thought this was really boring, then that's great, because as marketers, we really don't want to focus on CPCs and clicks. That's not what we're interested in. It's just where we come from. And what we really need to focus on is what kind of marketing objectives are we trying to achieve with a certain campaign? Is it generating awareness for our brand, or is it generating awareness for a new product, or is it really, driving purchase? And once we know this, we can and we really should boil things down to one key performance indicator, one metric against which we can measure the success of the campaign and against which we can optimize. And here, for example, if you want to generate leads, we can define this as a conversion, and then we can, for example, optimize for these types of conversions. Or if you're like more a retailer, an online shop, typically what you want to achieve is actual revenue, and we can also do that and optimize for return on ad spend. And only once you really decided upon which type of metric you want to focus on, you can make an informed decision about what type of bid strategy you should choose. It needs to be really aligned with this. And here we have some of our most prevalent automated bid strategies. And so, as I mentioned, as an example, you could, for example, choose target CPA, which is cost per acquisition, if you want to drive a certain amount of leads or conversions at a given price, or you could use target return on ad spend if the cost revenue ratio is something that you are focusing on. The reason why we obviously recommend these types of bid strategies is that they yield much superior results, because I showed you all of these signals or examples from them. When we bid manually and focus on CPC clicks, then we can't react to all of these signals. And therefore, this is what we see when we compare smart bidding strategies versus manual campaign strategies. We see up to 30% more conversions, or even when we switch from target CPA to a value-focused bid strategy, such as target ROAS, we see another 15% roughly median increase. And that's tremendous. And that is also why this type of bid strategy is nowadays really standard. It is more than 75% of all our campaigns on Google Ads run through these type of automated bid strategies. And that also means that while you should obviously use them because they will yield better results than any manual bidding, but it also means that nowadays getting a competitive advantage is more harder to achieve with these type of bid strategies by just switching them on. And that's why I want to give you a brief outlook into the future and what the kind of more advanced advertisers are starting to do now. And it's really focusing to onboard first-party data, meaning that any type of machine learning application, such as an automated bid strategy, the output of this or the goal of this application is heavily depending on the input. And this, let me make a clear example. So on the right, you would have an output, an example of an output for a campaign. What you measure your campaign against is profit. So you want to generate profit with a campaign. But many of these advertisers that in the end are actually looking at profit are still using conversions as a data input. So we measure conversions, optimize for conversions, but actually want to generate profit. And you can see that there's a mismatch because obviously this conversion will lead to profit, and on average it will yield some profit, but every conversion is different, every user is different. And what you want to achieve as a business obviously is to invest in those users and those conversions that are most valuable to you. And we can achieve this automated by actually calculating the profit of each conversion or estimating it or predicting it in some cases, and then feeding this information back into Google Ads. And that way optimizing for profit with all these signals that we use and that I showed to you in the beginning. So much about bid strategies. First-party data integration is actually something that is also happening in the audience world. And Michaela is going to guide you through this now.
Exactly. Thanks. The next step is audiences, more specifically audience signals, and they make this Google Ads smart bidding algorithm even smarter. And I'm going to show you just now how that works and what you need to do in order to feed in those audience signals. Now, when you're setting up a search campaign in Google Ads, you have to remember that the keywords you select for your campaigns still remains the main targeting method. That doesn't change. Now, audience signals that you feed in come on top of that, on top of those keywords. So just imagine you're a travel agency that's offering eco-camping trips in Bavaria, and I'm searching for a relevant keyword of yours, so you can reach me with your ads, your search ads in Google Ads. You also know that I have been to your website 5 days ago, and you have incorporated that signal into the algorithm. And this is then used on top of the fact that I'm searching for relevant keywords to inform bidding and make a really the most effective, the most correct bid for me searching for a relevant term. So what do we recommend you to do now? What are the next steps in order to feed those audience signals in? We recommend leveraging 3 types of audiences in order to reach users that you already know, or even customers that are already known to you, as well as finding new users. And the first audience type is remarketing lists for search ads, or RLSA. It's probably the most known audience type out there. And with remarketing lists for search ads, you can capture your website visitors. So you can create an audience segment or an audience list containing users who have been to your website, and then you can segment those users. For example, you have your all website visitor list, your product viewer list, or your thank you or conversion list. And then you can use those audience remarketing lists and feed those into your search and shopping campaigns. Now, just like with Frontier Car Group, you might also want to feed in insights about what's happening off your website. So maybe in an offline world or after the click on your website. And for that, we recommend leveraging something we call customer match. With customer match, you can feed in offline and online signals and use that in the same way as the remarketing lists for your search and shopping campaigns, and actually also with other types of campaigns in Google Ads. And this is a truly cookieless remarketing, cookieless audience type, which means it's future-proof. You might be aware of updates and changes to browsers that like ITP, and that is independent of that. So this is a really future-proof audience type that you can leverage for both online and offline signals. And finally, we have similar audiences. So many of you are probably also interested in not just reaching existing users, but also finding and growing your customer base, finding new customers. And for that, we have a lookalike technology that's driven by machine learning that automatically seeks new users for you that you can also leverage and attach as a signal to your campaigns. All right. So, but in order to make smart bidding even smarter, I don't want to just talk about audience signals, but how you can take into account generally insights about the different path or touch points the users that interact with your campaigns take. And for that, I mean talking about attribution. So on average, a person clicks on about 4 ads before converting. The default attribution model in Google Ads, though, is last click attribution, which means it ignores 3 out of those 4 ad clicks. And we all know nowadays more and more devices are used. The user journey is extremely complex. So for you, it's probably crucial to understand what were the touch points and how important are they to you to grow your business. So we have a solution for that, something that we call data-driven attribution. And data-driven attribution leverages our machine learning technology and assigns credit to each of those touch points that happen in an entire user journey. So even though I might have not converted right away when I was searching for Urlaub in Allgäu, the system knows that in the end, users who search for that keyword and click on an ad have a much higher likelihood to convert in the end and can feed in that information. And in fact, if you activate data-driven attribution on top of smart bidding, so while you use smart bidding, we see an uplift of 5% in conversions. Now, we talked a lot about what's kind of happening behind the scene, but what's also really crucial to talk about is what your users, your potential customers see, which are your creatives, your ads, essentially. And for that, you also want to have, ideally, the most relevant ads, creatives, adapted in real time, and but that is usually extremely difficult to manage, and you might not have the manpower in your company to do that. So for that, we also have a solution, a machine learning driven solution that can help you create really relevant ads at scale. And just let's take a quick step back. We talked a lot about signals today. So just imagine a search term, eco-camping in Allgäu in Bavaria. And the search term might be the same, but the signals or the people behind those terms are different. So we have John, for example, who's searching for eco-camping in Allgäu in the afternoon. He's based in Cologne on his Samsung phone. Then we have Marie. She's searching in the evening on her iPhone. She's based in Munich. And then we have Anna, who is searching also in the evening, but on her laptop in Berlin. So same query, different signals, different contexts, which means would the same ad be suitable for all these 3 users? Probably not. So you really want to make sure that you show the right ad to the right person. So John might be interested in more sustainable traveling, and Anna might be interested in more of an activity-based eco-camping traveling. So by feeding in or taking these signals into account, you are able to create really relevant ads. And how can you do that? We have something that we call responsive search ads. It's not about uploading multiple ads to try to create that relevance for your users. No, it's you upload assets, so fractions, descriptions, headlines of your ads, and machine learning puts these together to ensure that you show the most relevant ad to your users in the right time with the right context, and are able to achieve that relevance at scale without having to sweat about lacking manpower. All right. So let's quickly summarize kind of the essence of our session for today. The first one is use smart bidding, which is the state-of-the-art kind of real-time optimization bidding feature that we have. And on top of that, use or feed in your most important signals from your audience groups to really make smart bidding even smarter. When you activate data-driven attribution on top of that as well, you can take into account the different paths, touch points that your users take before they convert. And finally, relevant creatives are really essential. These kind of the show front of your business, right? So in order to create that relevancy at scale, leverage responsive search ads to be able to show highly relevant, good creatives to your potential customers. So thank you very much for your time. On the next slide, you first of all see a QR code that you can screenshot if you want to submit feedback. We really appreciate it. And now we have some time for questions and answers before we move to the networking